Welcome to the High Performance Interviews. Today I'm joined by Shawn Michael, all the way from Guatemala. Welcome, Shawn.
Thank you, Lucy. Very nice to be here today.
Amazing that you could join us. Thank you so much. Now, before I ask you to share your story, what I'd like to do is just give our audience a little taster. So, you're about to hear Shawn's journey through neglect, abuse, and arrest to finally rebuilding from the inside out. He would have given up if not for the love and support of others. In spite of the continuing consequences of bad decisions and the weight, he rose up above it all. He found his purpose and through coaching seeks to help others. He has published self-development journals, giving people the tools that he used to transform. Now his passion is to empower others to pick up the pieces, to unlock their potential and align with their values, and importantly, to take action. So I'm going to ask you, Shawn, because there's a lot more to that story, to share some really important moments in your life. And I know we've spoken before, but obviously our audience has not heard about it yet.
Picture this, a world turned upside down, where the very ground beneath you crumbles with every step, and the future seems like nothing more than a distant dream. Ladies and gentlemen, that was my life about 15 years ago. Today, I want to come to you not only as a mindset and accountability coach. My passion is about touching lives and unlocking human potential and growth, but also as a storyteller with a tale of triumph over adversity, of resilience in the face of despair, and overwhelming odds, and of hope that refuses to be snuffed out. On a dark day, more than 15 years ago, I made choices based on years of neglect, sexual, emotional, physical abuse, and the negative beliefs that nearly destroyed me. You see, I was caught up and caught in a trap called To Catch a Predator in the US on NBC TV. My decisions got me arrested, sent to trial, and pleading no contest on the advice of my lawyer. In the aftermath of it all, I was riddled with shame and guilt. I even considered ending my life under the immensity of it. But in the midst of all that, a tiny glimmer of hope flickered, a whisper of possibility that couldn't be silenced. Shrouded in the darkness, I was thrown a lifeline. My wife of 15 years and amazing friends pulled me out of the pit. And by the grace of God, because of all this, I made a choice and I was given the support and the strength to take the first steps to redemption. After that, I worked with my counselor, Christian 12-step program. The hope grew. I was able to process and heal all the junk that had come before. And I learned key lessons, which have become the cornerstone of my coaching philosophy. These included resilience, the power of resilience, mindset, accountability, which was critical in my recovery, and ultimately gratitude. Gratitude, a daily, regular practice of gratitude, gave me the power and strength to take each step forward in spite of the odds. So that's a little condensed version of my story that I'm sharing with you. I recently gave a talk on the full story. It is available on YouTube if you care to catch it.
Well, I'm sure. And just going back to a few of the things that you were saying there, because you clearly went through a really, really bad time and you'd hit rock bottom and you thought this was going to be it. This was going to be life over. That's it. But what you pulled from that was you had people around you that cared and loved you and wanted you to recover from that and helped you. So if there's somebody out there listening who is in that space, what would you say to them to help them at this point in time?
My first thing that comes to mind is never give up. I've learned through my own journey, and I've heard it several times, that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It's not the answer. It solves nothing. But reaching out to those who love you, who are around you, or even a willing ear can be the first step towards hope. And never, ever give up that hope. Because I hope my story illustrates that there is no too far gone. There is no too far down. All of us can pull ourselves back up with the help of others.
Okay, and what if somebody is saying, I don't have those people around me? I don't have that kind of community. I don't have that kind of support. I'm here, I'm alone, I'm on my own. Nobody cares. What could they do then? What might be a solution for them?
If the situation is dire, I would definitely say there are many suicide hotlines, websites that will anonymously provide support. I heard one of my friends, and I believe I say the same thing. If someone came to me in that state and says, I would tell them, look, all I ask, I can't stop you from doing it. I hope you don't know that. I hope you don't, but I can't stop you. But give me a call before you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all about human connection, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And understanding that you can talk and the other person is listening, and that might be the first time that somebody's actually listened to you in a very long time. And that can just help. That can be one tiny step up.
It can be that glimmer of hope that I mentioned.
Yeah. So you come through that. You came through all of that, Shawn. What happened to you after that? Because you said there was still stuff going on. There were still things recurring from bad decisions you had made. How did you pull through those?
As I shared, is learning the power of resilience and gratitude and accountability and holding to my support structure and even strengthening it. Some of the continuing effect, because of this arrest, it put a label that is nearly impossible to remove. And because it was a TV show, it had national publication. There are websites that speculate others' opinions of what happened and who I am. And although some sites are disappearing because the internet isn't forever, sometimes things do disappear. Generally, we say the internet's forever, but it goes away. I've been harassed. My wife's gotten messages from random people. Don't you know who you're married to? And she thinks, well, yeah. We just celebrated 31 years, so I think she knows who she's married to. My mother-in-law gets random phone calls because of it. And she just says, click, you know, like a telemarketer. And because of that, because of this fear of being authentic and sharing my story, I've had a lot of fear around it because of this situation, that it's there for anyone to read. And people make judgments based on what they read on the internet.
Yeah, sure.
Right or wrong, they make judgments. So I actually had to pull the draw to be a coach, to help other people 7 years ago. And because of my fear, because of worrying about, well, who's going to listen to me? That still some lingering beliefs like, nobody's going to listen to me because of my childhood beliefs, and then throw this on top of it. How could I do that? Nobody's going to talk to me. And so I gave it up 7 years ago and did other things, to support my family.
Yeah.
At the end of 2022, I couldn't deny it anymore. So I made a decision to pursue my dream, to coach people, to reach higher heights, to have more joy and peace and love and everything in their life, the life they want, an intentional life. And then the dragon reared its head again recently. I gave a speech on a virtual summit in January, which I had a client call me and take a free gift coaching session. And it was a powerful coaching session. At the end, she's like, okay, how do we work together? And I told her, and she's like, okay, great. Send me the invoice. We'll get started next week. I got an email from her. You could have told me, you lied to me, you didn't tell me the whole story. You didn't tell me why you left the US or why you left Belize, which none of that is true, but that's what she believed. And so I can't work with you. And instead of reverting back to the old way of, oh, forget it, I can't do this, because of the strength, the resilience that I built, one brick at a time, making my way to be, I'll just say, unbleep withable. I know by hiding my message, I'm not hurting me. I'm hurting others. I'm limiting others. I'm taking away, I'm depriving others. Because one person might hear my story and go, oh, whoa, if he can do it, maybe I can too.
Yes. Yes.
And so then I had a virtual talk in February, and I decided, I wrote a speech, you heard part of it today, to tell my story, to be out there, be true. My wife had a panic attack over it. She's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened. So I think it's a great lesson. Often our biggest fears are just up here. They're not real.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. When you step into that fear like you just did, and you told your story, A, you were being totally authentic to you. B, you're the only one who knows the true story. So this is it, guys. This is the true story. But also you hugely lent into your fear that had been holding you back to a certain extent still. But then you just went, no more, not doing it anymore. I'm stepping into that, stepping over that line, take a deep breath, and you did it, which is fantastic. It's incredible. It is a gift to others because they will be sitting in that place of fear as well. There will be somebody listening to this who goes, wow, yes, maybe I could do that as well. Maybe I could. And if you are that person sitting out there and listening, then you can get in touch with Shawn. We will put the details below. So now, Shawn, you also spoke about resilience. You also spoke about gratitude. Share how gratitude has helped you through and help pull you back up again.
What I learned in my life is when we focus on the darkness, the negative side, like, oh my gosh, I'm permanently labeled, I'm, an internet pariah. There's an old saying I've heard, many have heard it, what we focus on grows. It's not even like we think we're like, oh, I'm just going to dwell on this negative. No, we think we're just stating facts. Like, that's a fact. It's a fact. But we're actually setting ourselves up for trouble, I would say. But by changing my perspective, and instead of looking at everything that I might not be able to do or that I didn't have, and focusing on what I did have, I had my wife still with me, working through stuff between us, helping her work through her childhood burdens, etc. To watch her bloom and blossom into this amazing woman. And 6 years ago, we had a son, something that we didn't even think was possible because we had 24 years of nothing, thousands of tests, thousands of dollars spent at doctors and testing and treatments and nothing. And at the age of 48, I learned my wife is pregnant, and now we have a 6-year-old boy. And so just by expressing gratitude, at first it started small. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my son. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful that I have a house to sleep in. I'm grateful I got a good parking spot at the shopping center.
It can be really
I'm
small.
great. I'm grateful that my legs work when I don't get the good parking spot. But as I did these little acknowledgments of the things that I did have, it grew as well. I started noticing more and more things to be grateful for. And it gave me strength instead of, and it erased fear.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Because some of the things I was afraid of, when I learned to be grateful for the things I had, it's like, why was I afraid? Like, that was dumb.
And then if you're focusing on what you have, you get more of it. And when you get more of it, it fills you up and you get more joyful. And you spoke about joy as well and becoming more joyful in your life. And so now you've lent into that and you've not allowed experiences to take you off the track again, if I can put it that way. You are, it sounds like you're very much more determined and you've got an inner strength. Would you say, how
Yeah,
does that,
inner
and a
strength.
mind strength? So talk to that.
Negative thoughts are a reality of life. We all have them. In fact, we call them ants for automatic negative thoughts. But by taking the steps to ask, I love it. My son, I just got the book from my son by Dr. Amen. He gives 2 simple questions to ask when one of those negative thoughts pops up. 1, is it true? 2, are you 100% sure that it's true?
Oh, like it.
And if not, then you say, bye-bye. Like, you don't belong here. Like, move on. March. The song, the childhood song, the ants go marching one by one, kind of comes to my head. Go marching on now. You're not welcome here.
Mm. And they do go marching on, right? When you say that, you acknowledge that the thought's there.
Right. You can't deny it because you
Can't
can't
deny it
ignore
because
it
it's there.
because the more you ignore it, the more it will bug you.
List. Yeah, yeah. And then you ask those 2 questions and you go, no, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, off you go then.
Because we have to battle against the natural tendency. The way I heard it is negative thoughts are like Velcro or like those little things that stick on your sock when you walk in the field.
We call them sweethearts in the UK.
We call them cockleburrs.
Okay.
One of them. There are many, many of them. I live in Central America, so I learned all kinds of new ones that will stick to you. But this is negative thoughts in our brain. If we don't act against them or deal with them, they stick.
Mm.
And positive thoughts are like Teflon. if we don't grab a hold of them, they'll slip away very easily. So we kind of have to take the action, pull the burrs out, get rid of them, and grab a hold of the good. So that's where the gratitude really helps, because you're grabbing hold of the good and you're picking the burrs out. Like, nope, you're not true.
Like that visual as well. Okay, so with your journey now, you are out there, you're helping to coach people, you're speaking on stages, virtual stages. And where do you feel your journey is going? What's your vision for, I know you want to help people and help them to pick up the pieces. Is there a greater vision that you have, Shawn, for yourself and for others?
There's something I read in a book once called a B. It stands for big, hairy, audacious goal. And I've settled on my BHAG is if my work can help move the needle to lower male suicide by 1%. I know 1% doesn't sound like much, but when we think of 80% of global suicides are men,
That's huge.
it becomes much larger.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So with your coaching, I know you spoke about possibility of coaching a woman. Do you mainly focus on coaching with men? Where does that lie?
My target is men, because as a man, I can speak from the position of understanding more deeply his mindset, his thinking, his way of thinking, his experiences in the world. I can coach women, but only to a certain point, because there are deeper things that a woman is better suited to coach over. I was always taught in college counseling classes and all my training, don't be proud, know your limits, and if I don't fit you, then I got other coaches I know that I can refer them to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's understanding where your genius lies almost, isn't it? Knowing
Yes.
that is my area of genius. I can go this way and this way a little bit, but I'm not going to go completely that way. And and we were speaking before, it's like the same for me, for women. I'm exactly the same. I understand a woman's perspective, what she's been through, challenges that a man can't possibly understand because they can't have gone through the same sorts of things. So yes, I can coach men to a certain stage, but I definitely focus on the woman's side. So totally understand what you're saying about going with that feeling that you have and the knowing that you have of where your skill set is and your expertise because of what you've been through yourself. So that's amazing.
And I also feel that myself as a man going to a man as a coach, I'm in many areas, I'm more willing to open up and be vulnerable.
Interesting. Yeah.
Whereas with a woman, I might be like, I'll share this much, but only up to here. Like, I can't reveal that to a woman.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Especially with a culture in the world of boys don't cry, man up, and this. So yeah, it causes men, again, I think most of it is up here. There is the influence, but then we get stuck in this belief, like I can't reveal my true self because then I'll be less of a man. As you might say, that's utter rubbish.
Utter rubbish. It's totally the opposite. It actually makes
Yes,
you
there is.
more. Sorry.
I love the work of Brene Brown, who spent years, decades researching human vulnerability. I have a good quote. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It is having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
And that, when we can open up and be truly vulnerable with another human being, a trusted human being. I want to put that in there. You want to make sure it's a trusted person. The connection depth will blow your mind.
Oh, yes. Yes. Because they feel you. They really, you've gone to your heart, you've gone to that place. And that it's an energy transference, isn't it? It's that you're transferring
really is.
yourself to them. And it's like, oh my gosh, I received that. Wow. And you'll find, I'm sure, that then the person you've spoken to, if it's a one-to-one, is much more likely to open up to you, Shawn.
By being open and by being vulnerable, we give the other permission to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And to know that it's a safe space.
100%. Wow. Well, this has been fantastic. I've had so much insights. I'm sure our audience has absolutely loved listening to you. And if you would like to just give some tips or some, if somebody's out there and they're really struggling, I know we did that kind of a little bit in the middle, but if there's anything extra you feel that that person might need to hear, then please do share.
I am a strong believer that even if we think there is no one that would care, or especially when we think that no one cares, I promise you there is someone that will care. Look for me, Shawn Michael, Coach Shawn Michael. You can find me on all the social media platforms by that name. Reach out to me in confidence, in anonymity, and share. Because too many people lose their life in this way. And we have to change it.
Yeah.
So
And
if I can be your lifeline, reach out.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So please do that if you're listening and you're wondering, shall I or shan't I? Just do it. Just step into that fear if there's fear around it. Look into the description box. You'll find Shawn's details below and just take that step because it's important. It's important to both of us, and it's more important to you that you take that step. So thank you again, Shawn. It's been a very serious interview, but it's also very, very important to get these sorts of things spoken about. So I really am so grateful that you've come on here today and joined us and taken time out of your business. There will be another video showing up on screen. So if you want to hear more and listen to more, please hop over there and I'll see you there. Thank you again, Shawn, and thank you all for listening. Take care.